Hi everyone, Sam Silverman, managing partner of EB5AN, here with my partner Mike Schoenfeld.
So Sam, at this point now, we've been running EB5AN for 11 years, even longer, and we've seen different versions of EB5 and different industry participants come and go throughout that time period. So what would you say are some of the things that really attracted both of us into this industry? And then how did putting those principles into action help us grow?
So about 11 years ago, I was living full-time in China, in Beijing, where I'd studied abroad previously, and I saw EB5 growing substantially in 2011, 2012, and we saw a lot of developers successfully raising capital for very risky projects. Mm-hmm. And it was very surprising to see that happening on the ground in person with seminars and events. A lot of those projects were in South Florida, where I personally grew up, and I was familiar with the areas and familiar with the parties involved. And it was just shocking that investors were putting their money into that level of risk of projects. And I thought about it, and I reached out to Mike, who I'd worked with previously at the Boston Consulting Group, and just kind of said, hey, I think, if we can come up with safer projects, then even though we'd be a startup company at the time, if we can have much safer project with better terms, with a better developer, better location, I've got to think that maybe we'll be able to enter the market and be able to successfully compete, even though at that time we would have been one of the newest entrants in the market. And so, yeah, we brainstormed the idea for a few weeks and then came back and applied for 15 licenses. Regional center licenses, and then we got some approvals, and then we went and started speaking with developers and explaining what EB5 was and how it could be helpful to kind of grow their business. Fast forward 11 years later, we have almost 3,000 investors in our projects. Our regional centers now cover the entire United States. We've done many, many projects, hotels, master plan communities, condominiums, a lot of different project types, primarily real estate. And yeah, we've seen kind of how the market's evolved over time from, very kind of higher risk urban projects in places like New York City. And now with the new REA rules with rural and urban, we're seeing a shift in the projects that are preferred in the market to larger master plan communities and hospitality projects in some of these rural areas, given the faster processing, which really helps reduce the amount of waiting time for the green card, particularly for those Chinese and urban clients.
Yeah, and I'd say one of the things, reasons why I think that we've grown and become one of the industry leaders is our focus on investors. Transparency, providing high quality projects, and putting investors first. And those philosophies have carried through with us to working with nearly 3,000 EB5 investors, 100% approval on all of the projects that we've structured. Every deal has been completed with all of the job creation there for our legacy deals. Anything current is already under construction and fully capitalized. So we've really focused on only bringing the best projects to market, and the market's responded to that. And with every iteration of EB5 and the changes that have happened through legislation, through policy, through economic cycles, we've been one of the first to pivot and very quickly address whatever that new market need was. And by doing that, we typically are one of the first to introduce a project that fits what we're directly hearing from investors for what they're looking for.
What are the 2 or 3 things that you think just really, sets us apart from the other EB5 companies that are out there also looking for investors?
Yeah, I'd say one of the biggest things is just our institutional background. The fact that we've both worked at the Boston Consulting Group, big finance firms, and understand how a typical private equity firm would operate, and bringing those types of perspectives to EB5. EB5 is very complicated. You have an immigration component, a financial component, quite often the real estate component, and you're piecing it all together. And I think what we've done exceptionally well is bringing in our backgrounds and building a best-in-class team to execute exactly on the things that we do best. So I'd say that's one of the things that really sets us apart. And the other thing that I think sets us apart is our focus on investors. We are available to speak directly with investors. We think it's absolutely critical that investors have access to the person that's making the decision with their money and is investing their capital. So that's one of the more unique things. Investors have my personal cell phone number. Both Sam and I speak with investors every day. There's a lot of things within our company that we can hire other people to do to build a best-in-class compliance team for our regional center operations. We have great analysts that can look at real estate deals and put together materials and help us understand different pro formas in the diligence. But one thing that you can't recreate is giving investors direct access to the person that's going to make the critical decisions on their immigration and financial path. And I'd say that's one of the things that really sets us apart.
I think one other thing to add on that is just a relentless focus on transparency. The more information, the more documents, the more resources that an investor can have before making that final investment decision. Oftentimes, a lot of our clients are investing their life savings, right? They're trusting our company with their college tuition for their kids, with the nest egg that when it comes back to them, they're going to buy a home in the United States and settle with their family. So there's a tremendous amount of trust that happens there. And with that, we want investors to have all of the information possible. The financial statements, we want them to be able to speak with both Mike and I personally and have us share our perspectives on, what are the differences between projects that we have and why one may be a better fit for one type of investor versus another. Also videos. We've pioneered a YouTube channel. We have more than 500 videos, FAQs. We have many, many investor testimonials. One of the things we often get asked is, can I speak with another investor who's gone through the process? We have investors who are willing to chat with clients, and we've also been fortunate enough to create a lot of goodwill and investors who are very happy with their EB5 process and have shared their personal testimonials with us that we've published on our website. We've also got a very active blog. We've published hundreds of articles with the latest data, information, trends, sharing investment frameworks and guidelines for investors on how they should evaluate one project versus the other. And so I'd say transparency is really a core kind of factor that sets us apart in the industry today. And it's one of the reasons why we've been able to grow our business from a single investor in 2013 to almost 3,000 investors, 11 years later.